YouTube Ozzico and the Godows is back. Big one for you guys today. Not only do I project every NFL team's entire week one starting offensive line, but I rank them from 32 to 1, worst to best. Some surprises. I said, a lot goes into this one set down, and teams maybe were ranked higher or lower than I thought I would have ranked them. So this one's going to be a lot of fun. Last year when I did this video, number 1 and number 2 ended up being in the Super Bowl. Shows how important offensive line units are, obviously. So really excited to break it down. We have all kinds of content like this. Been going over our player rankings, going to our defenses next, defensive positions, in-season content right around the corner because the season's right around the corner. I can't wait for those weekly picks especially. Hopefully you join us, like, subscribe to notifications on. Very important to follow us on Twitter. Links pinned in the comments for all social media and our sponsors, Liquid IV, code GOAT, 20% off. Who's unfortunate to be at number 32? It is the Washington Commanders for me, and I'm projecting starting offensive lines here as we are in training camp, and there are some, questions across the board really with the Commanders. Charles Leno struggled last year. He's definitely on the decline. Could he play a little bit better? New maybe offensive system in there with Eric Bieniemy, so sure he could, but he did struggle a bit last year, and then definitely could be declining. Nick Gates, who's very versatile. He's been like a key quality backup for the most part. And he could be that for the Commanders. I'm projecting him to start, and now he could start at center as well. I'm projecting him to start at left guard. Usually when you draft centers in the mid-rounds, you start them, and that's the case with Ricky Stromberg, so I think they'll start him at center. And then I actually like the draft pick of Braden Daniels from Utah. He played tackle, but I like his upside as a guard, but the versatility checks out there. So watch out for him maybe taking over, or maybe winning the job at left guard or taking over at guard or tackle at some point. But to the right side, when they signed Andrew Wiley, I kind of liked it because he was a solid right tackle for the Chiefs, maybe the weakest link, but on a very good offensive line. Solid right tackle under Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy now with the Commanders, but it sounds like he's more likely to play guard. I thought maybe they'd play him at tackle, Cosmi at right guard. But no, I think they're going to keep Cosmi at right tackle, Wiley at guard. I do like Wiley a little better at tackle, but he is versatile. And then Cosmi is a decent young tackle. But there isn't really, I like the versatility on this offensive line and then the depth. They could play better under Bieniemy. But there's nothing really set. Yes, that guy will be very good, very consistent all year. I think their best bet at that is probably Cosmi. But that's a tough part for Sam Howell. And they have great weapons, and Howell's got a lot of upside. But then behind this offensive line, kind of tough. I think they struggled last year. The Commanders more so, the offensive line more so with Wentz in there. But they're poorly coached on the offensive line as well. Who comes in at number 31? It is the Tennessee Titans, which have some questions, especially with Nicholas Petit-Frere suspended. So keep in mind he will probably be back in starting at right tackle when he is back. But he is suspended for the gambling reasons, obviously. Andre Dillard was one of their bigger signings. He'll likely start at left tackle. Peter Skoronski, who could play the tackle spot, and they kind of have weaknesses there. You maybe think they would think about it there, but he can be a Pro Bowl level guard. I expect him to start at guard, but the option to fill in at tackle. Aaron Brewer is returning for the Tennessee Titans, the one returner. He's a decent center, pretty underrated center there. And then Daniel Brunskill, I think he's underrated as well, and he's pretty versatile where he can play all across the offensive line if needed. We saw that with the 49ers in the past. So some underrated guys, Aaron Brewer and Daniel Brunskill there. Maybe Dillard, got to learn from the Eagles behind Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, guys like that. So that's good. Skoronski, I think, will be really good as a rookie. Right tackle is a little bit of a battle with Nicholas Petit-Frere suspended. Jamarco Jones versus recently signed Chris Hubbard. Thought maybe they would sign George Fant. He goes to the Texans instead. And then Jalen Duncan, the rookie from Maryland, which was a good draft pick where they got him, but he's more of a project upside guy. I heard they're kind of tinkering with him at guard, perhaps. I like him at tackle, but more for the future. I'm going to predict Jamarco Jones, but Hubbard just got in there. But, yeah, the interior might be better than you think, especially with Peter Skoronski in there. But the tackles is kind of where they're weaker. It's a kind of a mystery how Dillard will be because he's been a backup, been a little disappointing, but he's also been behind some stars. Number 30 is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. Some talk about Paris Johnson Jr. playing guard because they have Beachum, but I don't like that. I think he's going to play tackle. DJ Humphries and Paris Johnson Jr. are actually a pretty decent tackle duo. We can't expect great things from Johnson Jr. right away, but he'd be pretty solid. The interior is where they take a hit. I'd watch out for John Gaines. I like that draft pick from UCLA. He can actually play across the whole line, mainly looking at guard or center. I'd watch for him taking over maybe week one, maybe right off the bat. I think he's a really good fit with their new system. But I'd watch out for him taking over at some point for somebody in there, either left guard or at center. But this is how I think they'll start on the interior, which could be the weakest one in football, perhaps. So that is kind of why they find themselves down here at number 30. Number 29 is going to be the LA Rams. It's all about health, durability with them. Noteboom, injured last year, struggled a little bit right away as well. So where is he going to be at? Steve Avila, pretty good draft pick, rookie in there. He'll play all right. Brian Allen is a pretty solid center if he's healthy. Logan Bruce was their draft pick last year, but it got injured, obviously. And that could be, Coleman Shelton, that could be there. So I had to do some projecting there in that spot. And then Rob Havenstein is probably the bright spot at right tackle. So if they're healthy, then, it's not the worst in football, but yeah, durability is an issue, and they really aren't the strongest on paper as well. So they are at number 29. At number 28, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tristan Wirfs at left tackle. That's the bright spot, moving from right to left. Matt Filer at left guard. Ryan Jensen at center. That's another pretty good spot there. Cody Mauch, who played left tackle at North Dakota State, obviously, but I ranked him as a guard, pre-draft process, because I can see the upside there. So I'm happy they're going to play him at guard. And then, they got young guys across the board. I mean, there's really nothing, nothing really like set besides Tristan Wirfs, and even he's moving positions. And then Ryan Jensen, if healthy, the rest of it's a little bit of a mystery. Godecki played guard, came in as a guard. He's playing tackle. So some questions there, and it's not Tom Brady making the adjustments anymore either. Keep that in mind. So have the Buccaneers ranked 28. 27 is going to be the Raiders. The tackle duo I'm not really worried about. I mean, Jermaine Luminor played much better than expected last year. He's kind of been a backup, getting some gigs here and there, but throughout his career, I should say, but played pretty well last year. And Colton Miller is the bright spot of this offensive line, very solid left tackle. So I'm not really worried about the offensive tackles. The interior, which they actually ran the ball pretty well, but the interior will give up some pressure, some instant pressure on the interior, on the inside. And, they kind of kept it the same. Could somebody else fill in possibly? I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't love the interior here. The tackles are all right. Will Luminor play as good as he did last year? So those are the questions. I have the Raiders at 27. 26, I have the Steelers, and they're heading in the right direction. We can't expect overnight success, though. They get better with Broderick Jones, but if you watch Broderick Jones at Georgia, he wasn't, he's on the best team, but he wasn't elite last year. He's like an upside guy, has a lot of work to do still, but you see the traits, you see the upside, you see the potential. He will be good. I'm just not expecting like greatness right away. That's for sure. They get better with Isaac Sumalo. Remember, he played with the Eagles in that unit, though. So is he going to look the same? I think he'll be good. I like their guards. Sumalo is an upgrade for them, and James Daniels, I think, is underrated. I think he's pretty solid. Mason Cole, maybe a little bit of question at center. He played okay last year. And then Okafor at right tackle, been pretty inconsistent as well. So I think they're heading in the right direction. I like their guard duo. I like Broderick Jones for the future, but they still could have their hiccups. They want to be better in terms of run blocking, but that's where, the new left side kind of comes into play. I think they'll be better at run blocking because I ranked them lower at 26 going into last year. They're heading there. They're in the right direction. 25, the Patriots, which we're used to the Patriots offense line being very good, but it struggled big time last year. And they didn't really do enough at the tackle position for me to be like, yes, they are going to be much improved from last year. But Trent Brown, who's solid, but he has the injury concern. They had Riley Reef, who, has kind of declined. He's kind of past the part of decline, but he's got experience. Cole Strange could take a step up this year. That's the bright spot is center and right guard. David Andrews is a very solid center, and Michael Onwenu is a very solid and versatile guard. I think he's a top 10 guard, interior offensive lineman in football, actually. So that's the bright spot, but the tackle play, you wonder about Trent Brown's health. Will Strange take that step up? They struggled last year. They were probably, based on last year, they were probably worse than 25. But a new offensive system, new playbook, I think could help under Bill O'Brien a little bit here. But, could Calvin Anderson step in at tackle instead of Reef, or if Brown goes down? So I guess you have the pieces there. A piece there, the insurance, I suppose, but you kind of wish they stepped up at the tackle position or got better, I should say, at least a little bit better. 24, the Seahawks, who played better than expected last year. I think they came back down to earth a little bit at the end of the year where they struggled to pick up blitzes specifically. But the young tackle duo was pretty impressive for being rookies last year. So Cross and Lucas should be solid. Are they going to be a great duo? Probably not, but I think they'd be solid. Damian Lewis is probably the brightest spot in this offense line. Evan Brown had to fill in for the Lions last year, and he was pretty solid too. So, but nothing like guaranteed there. And he also can play guard. That's why they're a little tricky to project because they draft Bradford from LSU. He can start at that right guard spot over Phil Haynes. I think they do like Haynes a little bit. Evan Brown can start there. Damian Lewis has some, experience moving around, but I think they like him at left guard. So I guess some questions mainly at right guard, or could Brown move from center to somewhere else? I think they want to play him at center though. So it's a decent, young, maybe inconsistent a little bit still offensive line. I have them at 24. 23, the Giants, which Andrew Thomas is one of the best in football, and he's an up-and-comer too. I mean, he's just getting going, so got that big contract for a reason. So that's the massive bright spot for the Giants' offensive line. The interior is a little bit of a question. I mean, Glowinski's got some good experience. John Michael Schmidt should be a pretty good center right off the bat. He had some hot and cold tape, though, so you can't expect him to be like crazy good right away or anything. Zudu got injured last year. We expect him to be the starter there. Evan Neal struggled last year, but I got high hopes for him. I'm not really worried about the tackle duo this year. The interior is kind of where the questions are at, or is the question, will Andrew Thomas have to carry this group again? So that's kind of top heavy starting at the left tackle spot. But I have high hopes for Evan Neal moving forward, and I think they're coached pretty well, so it should play better than how they look on paper. How they look on paper is probably worse than 23. 22, the Dolphins. Teron Armstead is the bright spot at left tackle. Connor Williams, a solid center, and I do like Robert Hunt at right guard. I think maybe a lot of people would project Austin Jackson to play right tackle, and that was the tough part. Very well could be the case. I mean, you're bringing Isaiah Wynn for a reason. You want to just play your best five here, so how do you not play Wynn at right tackle, even though he does have a lot of experience at left tackle? So that was kind of my prediction there. Maybe it's a little bold, but Eichenberg could step up. Armstead's got to stay healthy. I mean, Wynn, I think, makes them better there, but he has also struggled in his career. So I have the Dolphins at 22. 21, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, tricky situation because, it would be Cam Robinson at left tackle. He goes down last year. Walker Little fills in, and he was pretty damn solid. So what are they going to do when Robinson comes back? I think the thought was let Taylor move on and start Little and Robinson. Robinson suspended. They draft Anton Harrison. So it's looking like Walker Little at left tackle, Anton Harrison at right tackle. And then when Cam Robinson comes back, pretty interesting to see what happens there. And then the interior, Ben Barks, Luke Fortner, Brandon Scherf. Brandon Scherf kind of stands out a bit between that group. I think, looking at it on paper, like reading these names on paper, you had a rookie at right tackle, Walker Little, good injury concern, though, going back to Stanford. Not the biggest names at left guard and center. So on paper, they probably look much worse than 21. I think a lot of people rank them lower, but I think they're coached pretty damn well. And the system definitely helps them. Doug Peterson's system as well helps them very much. Walker Little was impressive when he filled in last year. I think Anton Harrison's a really good scheme fit. I think he's a perfect scheme fit. He could have his growing pains at first. So maybe ranked a little better than how they look on paper. 20, the Buffalo Bills. Deion Dawkins, a solid left tackle. Mitch Morse has been a pretty decent center. He's declining a little bit. They add Connor McGovern, which, I guess it could be an upgrade. I mean, Saffold was getting up there in age. Right guard, expected by some to be Ryan Bates, but you draft Osiris Torrance, I think he's got to be better. So I think Torrance is what makes them better, actually. So I would like him to start at right guard. And Spencer Brown has, kind of been a little bit of a project, and they're kind of, that's what I don't like. They're kind of insisting on it, or him there. So it's kind of a spot I wish they would kind of get better in. But, yeah, it seems like the same thing every year. Like, the Bills the offensive line starts pretty well. Like, they actually look like a top 10 offensive line in the first half of the year. And then second half of the year, they kind of go downhill. Josh Allen's getting pressured a lot, and he starts turning the ball over more. Maybe that's a reason for it. And they're not so hot in the playoffs. It seems like the same story for the last 3 years. So will it be the case again? Every year I'm going, the offensive line's playing a lot better this year, beginning of the year. Like, I'm always saying that. I'm like, this is a really good offensive line, actually. And it doesn't turn out to be the case. So we'll see if it's any different. There are additions there at the guard position, both guard positions, so that could make them better. But at the end of last year, they were probably playing worse than number 20. 19, the Colts. The Colts were once maybe the best or an elite tier offensive line group, and they've kind of dropped down since then. They were pretty bad last year. I do think adding Shane Steichen in that system where it'd be like quick, for the offensive line, don't have to block for too long. Hopefully, I think that can help them. It can make them better. It can make the bright spots. Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith. It can make these guys. It can showcase their skills a bit more. But Ryman's got a bright future. Still could have his hiccups early on. Ryan Kelly has not been the same, since what he once was. Even Braden Smith I thought was better in his earlier years. Quentin Nelson was better in his earlier years, even though it's still considered his earlier years. Again, I think they can be better with Shane Steichen, but they've been a little disappointing recently. Worse than 19. They're far worse than that. But again, they kind of get the bump here because I think under that new system they can play a lot better. Now it's time for the hardest team to rank in this video, the Minnesota Vikings, and that is because you look at their tackle duo, and it's ridiculous. I mean, this might be the second best tackle duo behind the Eagles in football. So you're thinking, okay, they got that good of a tackle group, but they're down at 18. The interior is where they really, take a hit. Like they have one of the better, really one of the better tackle duos in football. They have probably one of the worst interiors in football. A big reason why Kirk Cousins was hit more than any other quarterback last year. Quickest strip to the quarterback from the interior. That's where all the pressure was coming from. They did bring in Dalton Reisner, who would fill in at that left guard spot. They brought him in for a visit. If they sign him, that could give him a little bit of a boost here, up a few spots maybe from 18. So that would actually be pretty good. So that's why it's tough. Like the interior says bottom of the NFL. The tackles say the top of the NFL. So kind of in the middle somewhere. I think the positive here is they are pretty young at the guard position. Like Cleveland Young could be getting better, but mainly Ed Ingram. He was a rookie last year. He's making some rookie mistakes. Was stepping on Cousins a bit right after the snap. But you would expect him to get better because he's in his second year. So they could improve there. Those tackles are just very good. And Darrisaw is actually getting better too. So I have them at 18. The Chicago Bears at number 17. And I was actually surprised I had them. They're a little higher than I expected to have them. They struggled a bit last year. I know they were kind of known as one of the very worst. I think that was kind of blown up a little too much. I don't think they're quite as bad as people said they were on the offense line, but they were bad. But I think they're much improved this year. I got them up at 17. When you look at this offensive line, I mean, look at it. It's on your screen right now. I don't see a problem with it. I don't see a hole. Like, is it elite? That's kind of the issue. There's no elite guy, obviously. I think Darnell Wright has that type of potential in the future. But maybe Braxton Jones, too, because how he got off to that start, a guy I was high on, but I didn't think he'd be that good right away. That was impressive. But Tevin Jenkins, I thought looked pretty. Braxton Jones looked pretty good last year. Tevin Jenkins, when they kind of found a home for him, he looked pretty good. Whitehair is always decent. So those three guys already were kind of good before. And that's a kind of a reason I didn't think the offensive line was as bad as people said, but they still weren't great. But they had Nate Davis, who's a pretty good experienced guard coming from the Titans. Then Darnell Wright, who I loved coming out of Tennessee, and he's going to help them in pass protection right away. I don't be too shocked or bummed if Wright maybe struggles here and there in some of the outside zone runs, because he didn't really do any of that in Tennessee. It was all gap, counter, things like that. That's kind of just has to do with the run game, though. So don't get too upset or shocked if Wright kind of has to take some time to figure that out. But pass protection, I think it'll be very solid right away, and that won't apply to every type of run or all the run plays, obviously. So I like that draft pick. So they're pretty, they're not great at all, but they're pretty complete across the board with some young studs. I think that tackle duo is one to watch for the future there. So the Bears end up ranking better than expected. And same with the Bengals. We're used to the Bengals being at the bottom. We're kind of like the Bears, but they get a boost. And I kind of figured I'd give them a boost because I like Orlando Brown Jr. It's a big-time addition. They get better at left tackle. They for sure get better at run blocking there, which was huge. And then Jonah Williams, who struggled. He's kind of had decent moments, though, but I do like him much better at the right tackle position. So I actually think he can play better, and he's kind of pissed off about the situation, and he's going to play though. So he's out there to prove like, hey, I can play. So I think it's good. And Alex Kapp was a solid guard. Karras is a pretty decent center. Volson's kind of the question at left guard, but obviously he has some upside there. I think this offensive line gets better with Orlando Brown Jr. mainly, Jonah Williams moving to right tackle, and Alex Kapp by the second year being in Cincinnati. I think he can play better as well. Maybe Karras as well. So Bengals get a boost. They've been at the bottom of the NFL. They get a boost. They are at 16. That's what you like to see for a contender, unless you don't like to see it. Unless you don't like the Bengals, and maybe you don't like to see it. 15, the Jets, which are very tricky. One of the tougher teams to rank as well. I said the Vikings maybe the toughest to rank. The Jets right there because I think mainly because of durability. But then you have who the hell's going to start at both tackle spots week 1. I mean, Dwayne Brown expected to be back from his injury, so I didn't really have to think too much about that one. So I put him at left tackle. Right tackle is the question. Max Mitchell has got some reps at left and right. They also have Billy Turner, who's familiar with Nathaniel Hackett's offense, is a right tackle. And Mekhi Becton, which I'm hearing good things, but is he going to be ready? He still has somewhat of a process to go. So I went ahead and projected Max Mitchell at right tackle, which the latest at camp sounded like he was there. The guards are pretty much set. Laken Tomlinson at left guard, Elijah Vera Tucker at right. Tucker obviously could fill in at tackle if they need him to. Center is a tricky one. They draft Joe Tippmann, which I actually like his upside. I liked him more as a guard, believe it or not, projecting wise. But the Jets are set at guard, and I heard Tippmann so far is number 3 at center for the Jets. So if he's 3, you expect it to be, McGovern, is the guy at center, but been hearing really good. And he's actually listed as a starter on the first depth chart, but I've been hearing really good things about Wes Schweitzer, who has some experience, mainly as a backup, but he's been getting starting snaps with Aaron Rodgers lately. So I'm going to go ahead and project him, but actually some tough projections for the Jets. At center, right tackle, if Dwayne Brown's not ready, left tackle, they got to stay healthy. If they're healthy, though, under Aaron Rodgers and his adjustments, a smart guy, obviously. Again, if they're healthy, that's pretty good. Like Dwayne Brown's solid. The guard duo is very, very, very solid there. They got Vera Tucker's got to stay healthy. So, and they have Mekhi Becton. They have Billy Turner. So maybe I rank them higher than what most people would. The durability is a legitimate concern, though. But if they stay healthy, and again, they should improve with Aaron Rodgers. People forget that quarterback play and just the intelligence of quarterbacks plays a factor. So I rank the Jets at 15. Maybe that's bold. 14, the Niners. Maybe this is bold, too, because if you look at the Niners on paper, forget Trent Williams, just the rest of it on paper. Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, and then Colton McKivitz. That looks terrible. They lost Mike McGlinchey. That looks brutal, probably, to people. And they're at 14, but multiple things here. Well, they do have Trent Williams, who's the best in football. The system, the coaching, they always get the most out of their players. The blocking scheme is fantastic. They're always playing better than their names, like how they look on paper. Always, always, always. And then Aaron, the guard duo, very young and continuing to improve. Aaron Banks was very solid at Notre Dame. He got going last year. I think he can take a step up this year. Burford was a rookie last year, so he should be able to take another step up, especially learning in this system. And then remember going into last year, like the question with the Niners offensive line was, do they take a step down? Because the step down they took at center, but Brendel's played pretty well. He played better than expected. I think credit to him, but credit to the system as well. So kind of going back and remembering that, like guys just play better than expected. And I've been hearing really good things about Colton McKivitz. It's actually one to watch, a guy to watch this year. And McGlinchey was solid, but he was a little inconsistent. So, and they were good at letting him walk. So, they had something up their sleeves here. So that is a name. That is a player to watch. So the Niners are going to be much better than how they look on paper. It helps when you have Trent Williams in there as well. So I have them at 14. 13, the Saints, who've been pretty good for a long time. I think they took a step down last year, but I think they'll be better than they were last year. Trevor Penning was injured. We're still a bit of a mystery. Like, what are we going to get from him? But I think he'll be solid in that system. Andrus Peat, another team with the durability concerns here on the offensive line because Andrus Peat is pretty solid. He's just constantly injured. Eric McCoy's a very solid center. Cesar Ruiz, could be better, but a decent guard. And Ryan Ramczyk's one of the better right tackles in all of football. So if they stay healthy, this is kind of where they're at here. Could be even a little bit better. So you do factor in, you worry about the durability. But it's a pretty complete offensive line. You have a standout guy in Ramczyk and then maybe McCoy. But it's, there's really no like hole. But then again, we don't know we're going to get fully from Penning. And we don't, I guess the guards too. We don't like, because we know what Andrus Peat is about. When he is healthy, he is a little inconsistent, but he's decent. Just got to stay healthy there. So the Saints coming at 13. Coming in at number 12 is going to be the Green Bay Packers. We were used to them being a 1, 2, 3 for a bit. Not quite that anymore, but they're a well-coached group. They don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore, but they're a well-coached group, and they have stars. They have David Bakhtiari, if healthy. It's the big if there. Elgin Jenkins has had his injury concerns as well, but, they got star players right there. Myers needs to be better. Runyon I like, kind of a smaller name, maybe an underrated guy. And Zach Tom looked pretty good filling in last year, and he was good in college, an underrated guy there. So it's a little bit of a mystery, but I think he'll be all right at right tackle. I think this group is coached up pretty well. It's just they have to stay healthy. That's the thing. They have to stay healthy because if Bakhtiari's out of this group, then they take a major hit. If Elgin Jenkins is out of this group, they take a major hit. They're really nowhere near 12. So I guess somewhat of a tough one to rank. There's a lot of these teams with the injury concern here. Texans I have at 11, which I think other people would kind of rank them lower. I think people think the Texans, they're bad. No, the offense line's actually pretty solid. I guess the question is what guard and center. I don't put too much stock into the center position. I think a guy like Juice Scruggs should be able to handle it. Kenyon Green, kind of a mystery with him still at left guard. But other than that, you got one of the very best left tackles in football. You got a veteran, experienced, very good right guard in Shaq Mason, and Titus Howard is solid and he's continuing to get better. So I think it's a pretty good group, and you see the coaching staff they brought in. I think that will help them. We'll kind of get the most, that system will get the most out of this offensive line. So I actually have the Texans at 11. Number 10, I have the Baltimore Ravens, which I've seen some rankings, and a lot of people have them in the top 5. I'm not quite there. I don't see the top 5. And the 10th was probably the highest I was putting them. No more Ben Powers at left guard. So that's kind of one thing. And then Ronnie Stanley has the major injury concern. And Ronnie Stanley's very, very good, though. Very good, but major injury concern. Linderbaum was solid for rookie center last year. Zeitler's been pretty good. I thought he really fit the Greg Roman offense. We'll see it'll be the same. He's actually 33 years old now, too, so we can't expect him to get any better. And Morgan Moses has been decent throughout his career. He played better than expected last year, and he's kind of getting up there in age, too. So is he going to take a step down? Where's he going to be at there? So I got some questions with durability, with health. Who's going to play left guard? Lalu I have in there. He's been getting some starting reps, but they do have John Simpson and Ben Cleveland. I would like to see Simpson get a shot. He ended up being underwhelming in his young career so far. I would like to see him get a shot in that Ravens system. So maybe that's one to watch out for. They just got to stay healthy. It's a legitimate durability concerns here with Ronnie Stanley, which is kind of the best part of their offense line if he's on the field. We'll see how it is in that new system, that new offense. Number 9, the Panthers. I think an underrated offensive line. I don't think not too many people would rank them up here, but I think it's pretty good. Ikem Ekwonu was a very solid rookie last year. He started a little slow, but that's to be expected, and he really got going, and he's going to take another step up this year. And I think Frank Reich does a really good job coaching the offensive line and his system, his scheme. So I think Ekwonu is going to take a big step up. And Taylor Moton is one of the better right tackles in football. So I love this young, solid tackle duo. And then the interior, I think, is where they're underrated. Bradley Bozeman's a very solid center, does have to stay healthy. Austin Corbett is a very solid guard. The Rams missing him. Brady Christensen, maybe the weak spot of this offensive line, but he's solid, young, and he was just learning the guard position because he was a tackle coming out of BYU. So he's only going to get better. I don't see a hole on this offensive line. I see improvement at the same time, mainly looking at that left side with those young players that are going to continue to get better. And then bring Frank Reich in there helps. So I got the Panthers as a top 10 offensive line. I like that group. Number 8, the Denver Broncos, another one that I ended up ranking higher than I thought I would have after sitting down and really going through this. Pretty solid tackle duo. I know Garrett Bowles has to stay healthy, Mike McGlinchey is very solid. You could see he could stay a little more consistent, though. Perfect world, but that is a pretty good tackle duo when on the field. And they add Ben Powers, who was really solid for the Ravens, and Quinn Miners looked really good last year, and they got a better system in place this year under Sean Payton. So that guard duo looking really good. Really, the only question is center with Cushionberry, but I think he'll get the job done. So it's a pretty complete group. Again, the question's center probably, but good, not great, but good tackle duo, and good, maybe a little better than good guard duo, and Sean Payton, his system in there, and that's big. So I got the Broncos at number 8 here. So maybe that could be another surprise. Maybe the Texans, maybe where I rank the Jets, the Niners, the Broncos, the Panthers, those type teams end up being the surprises maybe to some. Number 7 is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. I think a very well-coached offensive line. I like that system there. Jake Matthews has been very, very solid his whole career. Caleb McGarry took a big step up last year. He was kind of a disappointment early on. Injuries played a part. But the tackle duo is very solid. Chris Lindstrom is one of the very best in football. Drew Dahlman was pretty solid, didn't give up much pressure last year. They also have Matt Hennessy behind him. Then Matthew Bergeron, which I actually wasn't as high on him as everyone else, mainly because I had a feeling somebody would take him for guard, but I liked him more at tackle because when he got beat at tackle, it was mainly bull rush, just getting out physical, and that might show up more against physical NFL D tackles on the inside. But he's a really good run blocker. And he goes to a great system. I mean, a great system, good offensive line. So he actually could be better than like my pre-draft projections just because the system he went to. But I do worry about like the bull rush against NFL D tackles in pass protection early on. So that's something to don't panic too much early on. But it's kind of something to be worrying about his whole career. This one's good because they have good players. Again, the tackle duo is really good. The veteran captain, Jake Matthews. Lindstrom, one of the very best in football, only going to get better. So that plays a big part. But I think the coaching, I think Arthur Smith's always good at working offensive lineman. I think the system, the misdirection, the uniqueness, if that's a word, of the type of runs and what they have. Again, going back to the misdirection, especially what the type of players they have in there, which can help create that. Now they had Bijan Robinson there. So I think it's more than just how they look on paper, which they already look pretty good on paper, but it's more than that with the Atlanta Falcons. So they are at number 7. Number 6, the Chargers, which they were not number 6 based off last year. Nowhere near it because Herbert was hit a lot. But remember, Rashawn Slater was out pretty much all of last year. He will be back. I think he's one of the better tackles in football if he's healthy. There's really nothing like besides last year that says, yeah, he's going to keep getting hurt. There's nothing that says that. So I'm confident with him. And Jamari Sawyer filled in at tackle, and he was very, very solid. But we know he can play guard as well. Wherever he plays, he's going to be solid. Corey Linsley is one of the best centers in football. Zion Johnson was solid for them last year. I actually thought he was better in the first half of the year compared to the second half. I thought he started really hot, like really good. And that's in him. Offensive line kind of set. Everyone's a little more comfortable. Under Kellen Moore now, Zion Johnson can be playing really good this year. I could see it. Trey Pipkins I think he got better last year. That's really the only question mark, the weak spot of the offensive line. But I mean, on paper, from left tackle to right guard, it looks strong if it's healthy with some proven guys, but some young guys that are already getting better. Adding Kellen Moore in there for that offense, huge. And Pipkins is improving. Whether you like him or not, I think he's improving slowly, but I guess he is. So this is one of the ones on paper. On paper, I got to put it up here, but I guess it's a little bit of a risk because will they play to that level? I'm projecting they should as long as they're healthy this year. On to the big top 5. The top 5 are pretty clear, like what teams they are. The Lions 4 or 5. I was so close. The Lions coming at number 5. Very solid tackle duo in Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell is going to continue to get better. He's one that's taken over this league. Taylor Decker been pretty solid. I don't know if this guy is getting better. He's definitely not getting better, either staying the same or, kind of a little inconsistent last year, but it helps that he has a good system and a good offensive line around him as well. And he is solid, don't get me wrong. But Penei Sewell is the bright spot there. Jonah Jackson, a very good guard. Frank Ragnow, a very good center. Right guard is kind of the question there. They bring in Graham Glasgow. I was kind of back and forth who they start at right guard. I think they want to start Vaitai there. He was injured last year. I think that's who they want to start. I heard he actually thought about retirement, so maybe he doesn't even make it through camp. I'm not saying maybe he gets hurt. I guess you could say that about anybody. Maybe he does, but maybe he, since he thought about retirement, I think he's locked in. I think I'm predicting him to be the starting week 1 right guard, but there's a chance that Glasgow beats him in the competition, or maybe it doesn't even end up being competition. Glasgow gets it because Vaitai, because the past injuries, the past thought of retirement, things like that. So, but a pretty complete, very solid, well-coached offensive line. And the bright spots are Penei Sewell and Ragnow here for the Detroit Lions. Number 4 is the Dallas Cowboys, which always do have injury concern, but they are strong, and they have guys that are getting better. And I do like the depth and the versatility they have, too, in case, because before when they got injured, it was like, that's the season. Even though they're still going to be a good team, like, we're not going to go anywhere. Now they have some serious versatility and depth that helps. But Tyron Smith, injury concern, big time, but he's very good at left tackle position. Terrence Steele is getting better and better and better. He's going to continue to get better. Very solid right tackle. So they have a good tackle duo. Tyler Smith was very impressive to me last year, playing left tackle and guard. They really want to play a guard, but if he has to play left tackle for Tyron Smith, they will put him there, and they have some options to fill in at guard. So I don't really see them taking a major hit, because I thought Tyler Smith was really good at left tackle last year. So they honestly don't take that big of a hit, so that's why durability has to play a part with these rankings. But Cowboys, I think, are doing a pretty good job. And Biotish has been a pretty solid center, and Zach Martin is the best interior best interior player in football. So that helps as well. So a very strong offensive line. Got to stay healthy, but I like what they've done with adding versatile pieces and depth pieces here recently. It's kind of what they've needed, and they've done that. So now on to the big top 3. The Cleveland Browns at number 3. I think it's a well-coached offensive line. The system kind of helps its offensive line as well. Really fits like a Nick Chubb style. Stefanski's going to be better as a play caller, but I think he coaches offensive line. His system helps offensive linemen a lot, like I said. Jedrick Wills has been a little underwhelming, but he's still got that talent in him. He can be a solid left tackle. And Jack Conklin has the injury concern, but he's a very solid right tackle. And then that interior looks really good, especially the guards. Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, one of the best guard duos in football. Ethan Postage had a slow start to his career with the Seattle Seahawks, but he played very well with the Browns last year. I think a lot of it is the system. It's kind of one of those schemes, it's one of those systems there that kind of gets the most out of these guys that are supposed to have talent. So there's no holes. There's no holes. It's good across the board. You have some serious talent. That guard duo, I think Conklin is a serious talent if he's healthy, and Wills has that upside in him still. He still shows those glimpses here, but he's been a little underwhelming just because we thought he'd maybe be elite by now or close to. Number 1 and number 2 is the same as last year. It was the 2 teams that went to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs at number 2, which is a little bold actually, because they changed their tackles up. Both their tackles. They go from Orlando Brown Jr. and Andrew Wiley to Donovan Smith and Jawaan Taylor. And there was some thought about Jawaan Taylor playing left and maybe Donovan Smith playing right. It sounds like they will do this way. But Jawaan Taylor is young and improving. I think he'll be even better because he's young and improving. A lot of upside. I liked him a lot out of Florida. But he goes to the Chiefs with that coaching staff, Andy Reid, with Patrick Mahomes playing under him. So Jawaan Taylor is going to be good. It's going to be good. And Donovan Smith has had a pretty decent career. He's gotten ripped a little bit, and he had a down year last year. But, again, I think he'll play better. He's got a really good interior inside him. He's got a really good quarterback. He's got a really good coaching staff. Coaching staff being the key there. So I think Donovan Smith, will he be great? No, I think he'll play better than we did last year. He's not Orlando Brown Jr., but Smith, Jawaan Taylor, I think they'll be good. I think they'll be solid. And they have the best interior in football. Joe Thuney, I have as the second best interior player in football. Creed Humphrey's the best center in football. And Trey Smith has been fantastic. Very solid guard that's only getting better. An epic steal for them when they got him out of Tennessee. So that interior is the best in football. And even though it's different tackles, and I guess it's a little bit of a mystery, it's a very solid group, actually. So, but I did think about the Browns at 2. Versus the Chiefs. But number 1, I have the Philadelphia Eagles, which they were known as the best last year. I had them as the best before last year. They ended up being the best. They're still the best for me. The Chiefs the Chiefs offense line stood out more in the Super Bowl because they won, but because they did not allow a sack on Patrick Mahomes there. So that was a good battle, I guess, even though the offensive lines are not actually going against each other. And the Eagles had a really good defensive line, so that's why it stands out too. But the tackle duo is the best in football. Jordan Mailata is only getting better. Lane Johnson, who's been super consistent, very solid, even when he plays injured. You don't want it to happen, though. Landon Dickerson's going to take another step up. He was very good last year. He's going to take another step up with this group. He's going to be a very, very good guard. probably a top 10 guard in football, number 11 interior offensive lineman. Jason Kelce, we know we're going to get from him. He's going to be very, very solid. Is he going to get any better? No, doesn't need to. And then Cam Jurgens likely will play guard. I heard the thoughts of Tyler Steen moving from tackle to guard, which I like that. I don't like Tyler Steen at tackle. I watched the tape, and I was surprised where everyone had him ranked at tackle because as high as they did, because his tape at tackle was not good. But with the Eagles' offensive line, that system, and maybe at guard, I like his upside there. But I think Jurgens is going to be the guy there, which I like the versatility here. Jurgens can play center. Dickerson can play center. So they have the versatility there. They have the coaching. They have the talent for sure. They have the best tackle duo in football. And I guess a duo of the interior, Dickerson and Kelce, is very, very strong. Dickerson's going to take a big step up this year. He was already good last year. So I thought it kind of a no-brainer. The Eagles are number 1. And that will do it. That's my top 32 with the projections. It's always a fun one to make. Here. So everyone will have different opinions. We can talk with you guys in the comments. We're always talking with you guys on our Twitters. Link in the comments for all our social medias and our sponsors and recent videos that are very important to check out. Yeah, that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.